The intelligence, whispered from the Israeli-occupied Golan Heights, carries with it a weight of history and a sense of urgency. These whispers are not just idle chatter, they are the echoes of a region steeped in conflict and strategic importance. This intelligence paints a fascinating picture of the Syrian chessboard, where every move is calculated and every piece has a role to play. The stakes are high and the players are many, each maneuvering for advantage in a game that has no clear end in sight. It's a complex game with many players, each with their own agenda. From international leaders to military strategists and political negotiators, everyone is trying to outmaneuver the other, seeking to secure their interests in a region that has seen endless turmoil. At the heart of this intelligence is the belief that the fall of Damascus, a scenario long considered unlikely, is now within reach. The city, with its rich history and strategic significance, has always been a focal point in the Syrian conflict. However, this victory, if it comes, will not be achieved through brute force. The whispers suggest that a different strategy is at play, one that involves careful planning and strategic alliances. Instead, the whispers suggest a different path, a negotiated surrender, orchestrated under the watchful eyes of the United States. This approach, if successful, could change the dynamics of the region significantly. This revelation, if true, marks a significant shift in U.S. strategy. For years, the U.S. has maintained a stance of cautious involvement, wary of becoming too entangled in the complexities of the Middle East. For years, the official stance has been one of ambiguity, a reluctance to become deeply embroiled in another Middle Eastern quagmire. The U.S. has often preferred to play a supporting role, providing aid and intelligence rather than direct intervention. Yet, the whispers from the Golan suggest a more proactive approach, one where the U.S. is actively shaping the endgame in Syria. This new strategy indicates a willingness to take on a more direct role in the resolution of the conflict. The question is, what has prompted this change of heart? Is it a response to new intelligence, a shift in political priorities, or perhaps a combination of both? The answers remain elusive, but the implications are profound. The whispers speak of backroom deals and hushed negotiations, where the fate of nations is decided far from the public eye. These clandestine meetings are filled with promises made and ultimatums delivered, each word carrying the weight of potential change. The message is clear. Bashar al-Assad's grip on power is slipping, and the only path to a semblance of stability lies in a negotiated transition. The international community watches closely, aware that the stakes are incredibly high. This revelation has sent shockwaves through the region, causing both hope and fear to ripple through the populace. The possibility of change brings uncertainty, and with it, a mix of anticipation and anxiety. For years, Assad has clung tenaciously to power, defying predictions of his imminent demise. His speeches have often been filled with defiance, rallying his supporters and sending a message of strength to his adversaries. He has weathered the storm of a brutal civil war, the rise of ISIS, and relentless international pressure. Each challenge has tested his resolve, yet he has managed to hold on, often against overwhelming odds. Yet, the whispers suggest that even his legendary resilience is nearing its limit. The toll of years of conflict is evident in his weary appearance, and the strain of maintaining control is becoming increasingly apparent. The details of these alleged negotiations remain shrouded in secrecy. What is being discussed behind those closed doors? What compromises are being considered? Who are the key players? The involvement of various international and regional actors adds layers of complexity to the situation. What concessions are being demanded? The stakes are high and each side has its own set of demands and red lines. These are questions that continue to perplex analysts and diplomats alike. The outcome of these negotiations could reshape the future of Syria and the broader Middle East, making it a topic of intense scrutiny and speculation. Perhaps the most startling revelation from the Golan Heights is the alleged Israeli support for Syrian opposition groups targeting Russian assets within Syria. This is a high-stakes gamble, a dangerous escalation that could have far-reaching consequences. Israel, acutely aware of the threat posed by Iran's growing influence in Syria, has long pursued a policy of containment. This has involved hundreds of airstrikes targeting Iranian-linked targets, all carefully calibrated to avoid direct confrontation with Russia. However, the latest intelligence suggests a shift in strategy. By backing Syrian groups targeting Russian assets, Israel is sending a clear message: it will not tolerate the consolidation of Russian power in its backyard. This apparent shift in Israeli priorities, from countering Iranian influence to directly challenging Russian presence, speaks volumes about the evolving geopolitical landscape in Syria. With the Syrian civil war winding down, a new battle for influence is brewing. Russia, having played a pivotal role in propping up the Assad regime, is now seeking to consolidate its gains. It has established a permanent military presence in the country, secured lucrative contracts for its energy companies, and positioned itself as the indispensable power broker in any future settlement. Israel, acutely aware of the threat this poses to its national security, is now pushing back, testing the limits of Russian tolerance and risking a wider confrontation. Section 5. Assad's Endgame, a desperate search for guarantees. Caught in this geopolitical maelstrom is Bashar al-Assad, a man once considered a ruthless dictator, now reduced to a pawn in a much larger game. The whispers from the Golan suggest that Assad, facing mounting pressure from both within and outside Syria, is desperately seeking guarantees for his future. These guarantees, it is believed, center around personal security for himself and his inner circle, as well as immunity from prosecution for war crimes. It is a humbling fall from grace for a man who once seemed invincible. Yet, it is a testament to the fickle nature of power and the unpredictable twists and turns of the Syrian conflict. Section 6. American boots, Syrian sands, the U.S. military footprint. The U.S. military footprint in Syria, though small, remains a significant factor in the equation. The presence of American troops, primarily special forces, has been instrumental in rolling back ISIS and preventing a resurgence of the group. However, the whispers from the Golan suggest that the U.S. role may be expanding. There are reports of increased activity by American A-10 Warthog aircraft, known for their devastating firepower against ground targets in areas where Russian forces operate. This raises the stakes significantly, increasing the risk of miscalculation and unintended escalation. Section 7. Starving the Beast, the opposition's new strategy. The Syrian opposition, once a fragmented and chaotic force, has undergone a significant transformation in recent years. Learning from past mistakes and adapting to the changing realities on the ground, they have adopted a new strategy focused on isolating Damascus and avoiding civilian casualties. This involves targeting key infrastructure and supply lines, choking off the regime's access to resources and revenue. This strategy, while slow and grinding, is beginning to yield results. The economic situation in Damascus is deteriorating rapidly, fueling discontent among the population and eroding support for the Assad regime. The opposition, once dismissed as a spent force, is proving to be a resilient and adaptable adversary. Section 8. A regional tinderbox, the wider implications. The situation in Syria remains volatile, a tinderbox that could ignite a wider regional conflagration. The convergence of competing interests, Russian, Iranian, Israeli, American, creates a complex and dangerous dynamic. Any miscalculation, any unintended escalation could have catastrophic consequences, not just for Syria, but for the entire Middle East. The whispers from the Golan Heights serve as a stark reminder of the fragility of the situation and the high stakes involved. The world watches with bated breath, hoping for a peaceful resolution, yet bracing for the possibility of something far more sinister. Section 9. The unknowable future of Syria. As we peer into the uncertain future of Syria, one thing remains clear: the path ahead will be long, arduous, and fraught with peril. The Syrian conflict, which has raged for over a decade, has left millions displaced, cities in ruins, and countless lives shattered. The international community watches with bated breath, hoping for a resolution that seems ever elusive. The whispers from the Golan Heights, while intriguing, offer no easy answers. This region, steeped in historical and strategic significance, remains a focal point of tension. The military presence and the watchful eyes on both sides of the border underscore the fragile nature of peace in this area. They merely illuminate the complexities of a conflict that has defied simple solutions and left an indelible scar on the soul of a nation. The human cost is immeasurable, with families torn apart and communities destroyed. The resilience of the Syrian people, however, shines through the darkness, as they strive to rebuild their lives amidst the rubble. Only time will tell what the ultimate outcome will be. The sands of time continue to flow, and with each passing day, the hopes and fears of the Syrian people hang in the balance. Will the dawn of a new era bring peace and prosperity, or will the shadows of conflict continue to loom large? Will it be a negotiated settlement, a fragile peace imposed through diplomacy and compromise? The corridors of international diplomacy are abuzz with efforts to broker a deal that could end the bloodshed. The role of global powers and regional actors is crucial in shaping the future of Syria. Or will it be a descent into further chaos, a vortex of violence that consumes all in its path? The specter of continued conflict looms large, threatening to engulf the region in a cycle of violence and retribution. The stakes are high, and the consequences of failure are dire. These are the questions that haunt the corridors of power, the streets of Damascus, and the minds of all who dare to hope for a better future for Syria. The journey ahead is uncertain, but the spirit of the Syrian people remains unbroken. Their resilience and determination will be the guiding light in the quest for peace and stability.